Live from the Carl Chevrolet Studios in West Des Moines, this is Iowa Live.
Welcome back to the program, everyone. It is the 10th of February and a very significant day when it comes to Iowa history. And the man to tell us all about it, reporting for duty, is the one and only Professor Jeff Stein. Hello, sir.
I am indeed reporting. Happy to be with you again today, sir.
It is awesome to talk to you and also find out some of the history about the state of Iowa, especially when we talk about how Iowans served with distinction in a variety of ways during wartime. And you're about to tell us about a group that were among the first to mobilize in advance of World War II.
And in order to do that, Lou, we roll back a little further because the group we're talking about was actually formed around the time of World War I. Now, back in August of 1917, units from Iowa, North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota formed what was called the 34th Infantry Division of the National Guard. Now, we know them today as the Red Bull Division. How'd they get that name? Well, it comes from the shoulder sleeve insignia designed for a training camp contest. It was designed by artist Marvin Cohn, who was a soldier enlisted in the unit. His design evoked their desert training grounds in New Mexico. He superimposed a red steer skull over a black Mexican water jug called an olla or an olla, depending on your dialect. Well, then in World War I, the unit was known officially as the Sandstorm Division, but German troops in World War I called them Red Devils and Red Bulls because of the logo they saw. That name stuck, and the division later officially adopted that Red Bull nickname.
All right, so the First World War gave them their nickname, which is actually very cool, by the way. But how did the Red Bulls respond for action when Second World War start rolling around?
Well, as folks know, the war expanded in Europe well before the U.S. intervention. A reluctant United States, though, was about to be drawn into the conflict, and so the U.S. government took initial steps to prepare troops through precautionary training, just in case. Well, the 34th was deemed one of the most service-ready units in the military. The Selective Training and Service Act of 1940 became law in September of that year, and the very first draft in peacetime in U.S. history began soon after.
All right, and that led young men to begin to be called to serve, to go into duty.
That's right, because the draft went into effect. If your number came up, you were called to serve. And soon after that fact came the activation officially of this 34th unit. That happened on February 10th, this date in 1941. So troops from Iowa, both Dakotas, and Minnesota mustered out for duty, traveling by rail and truck convoys to the new Camp Claiborne in Rapides Parish, Louisiana, near Alexandria, if you know the area. Pearl Harbor Day, note, was still 10 months away, but Iowa boys reported for duty with the Red Bull 34th Infantry Division, and it happened on this date, Lou, in 1941.
Wow, again, one of the most respected infantry divisions. We heard about that, and when they say deemed the most ready for action, does that surprise you at all when you have a lot of folk from Iowa involved?
Well, you get a bunch of Midwestern boys and girls together with that work ethic, and no, not really a surprise if you think about it. But what a lot of people don't remember, and this is what's really important to me about the story, we know Pearl Harbor Day, but this group was mustered into service 10 months ahead of time. So the war did not start, it officially started that day, but the preparation, that's lost to history. The preparation was months or years in the making.
Yeah, they apparently saw what was potentially on the horizon, and in order to combat that, they got the troops ready for action. And the Red Bull Division that had a lot of the members from right here in Iowa were all part of that. That is really a cool story. I love that. Now, people want to go back and revisit with some of the things that you just got done talking about and find out about other things that happened on every single day of the year in Iowa history. What's the easiest way they can do that?
You can go to iowaalmanac.com. You can see that insignia again. Give it a good look. iowaalmanac.com. We're also on Twitter, Instagram, Parler, and Getter, all at Iowa Almanac.
All right, great job as always, sir. I love the logo. That is one of the neatest logos I've seen in a long time, so go check that out again if you have a chance. You take care of yourself, and we will talk to you next time.
Have a great day, Lou.